Hello you beautiful people, this is Chris from Ticwatch and I'm here with the second generation Ticwatch wearables from Mobvoi, Mobvoi, however you pronounce it. Now last year I reviewed the original Ticwatch E and Ticwatch S over on Qualcomm, and now we've got the Ticwatch E2 and S2 fresh for 2019. Going to get them unboxed and do a comparison between the two so you know which one might be best for you. And don't forget, for more on the latest and greatest wearable tech to do, poke that subscribe button and ding that notifications bell. Now first job is actually get into the buggers, no mean feat considering I have no fingernails. This is going to take some heavy editing, I feel. Several hours later, oh there we go, we got it, bust the seam. Right, one down, one to go. Oh, there we go, victory. Okay, so there we have them, Ticwatch S2 and the E2, spot the difference. Unsurprisingly, looks the same for both of these wearables. You do of course get the proprietary charging dock, not much use without that. And a bit of manual action, looks like it's basically the same manual for both of the devices. And the reason for that is because they're all very similar, as we'll see once we dive into the specs. So the main difference between the Ticwatch S2 and the Ticwatch E2 is actually the design, although you'd be hard pressed to kind of tell unless you got up really nice and close. As you can see here, the E2 has a more sort of simplified, streamlined design to it, whereas the S2 you've got a bit of finer detailing around that sort of watch bezel area. So as you can hopefully make out there, the S2 has of course the finer detail and the little dial markings, the numbers and everything, and a little bit more pattern action going on as well, whereas the E2, as you can see, they're nice smooth bezels, very straightforward indeed. The Ticwatch S2 will apparently come in a white model as well. That'll be coming in Q1 2019, but right now it's just available in this black hue. And same version for E2, this is only going to be available in black. To begin with at least, they might release a white version later on. Both watches made of polycarbonate certainly feel nice and light, that's for sure, despite the fact that they are obviously, as you can see there, pretty chunky beasts. Definitely your typical sort of smartwatch design. Now with the original Ticwatch S, you couldn't actually remove the band because the GPS was built into it, but now you get a standard 22mm silicone strap. As you can see there, they've got a little catch, so you can actually just pull the catch and pop. The bands come right off and you can fix a new one on. It's definitely good news for those of you who want to accessorize, and of course the silicone strap that comes with it, it's quite well suited to fitness sessions, exercise, and will just allow your skin to breathe. But if you actually want to go out for a night out on the town, it's probably better to get a nice leather band or something on the go instead. Thankfully you've got that nice quick release catch and everything as well, so it's nice and simple to take the band off and then stick a new one back on. Both watches are water resistant up to 5 atmospheres, that's 50 meters. So that's an improvement over the bog standard IP67 water and dust resistance of the original E and S. It's definitely good news if you're going to be just spending a lot of time in the water, a bit of sea action, something like that. Let's just get them powered up. We can have a bit of a tour of the software and the features as well. So of course there's a good bit of Google Wear OS running on both of these watches, so you will need to download the Wear OS app onto your iPhone or Android device if you want to pair the Ticwatch E2 and S2 up with your smartphone. Of course, as you'd expect, it's all free to download from either Apple's App Store or the Google Play Store, nice and easy. Now these two watches essentially have the same version of Wear OS and the same software features, so I'm just going to set up the S2 for now. We'll just stick the E2 aside. As you can see, tap to begin. So you just got to set up the language. So as you can see, download and open Wear OS, way ahead of you, buddy. So let's just hit start setup on the app, agree to the usual T and S, and then hopefully, there we go, it's just popped up right there. Confirm code to connect, yep, that's all matching up beautifully. Connected! Exclamation mark, good stuff. Right, just got to connect to the Wi-Fi, and that'll mean that the watch will be able to just perform its own updates and everything independently of the phone, which is always helpful. Now it's just busy copying my Google account stuff over to the watch as well, so that'll just allow you to access your Google Calendar info, stuff like that. And there you have it, we are all set up. So that's the Ticwatch S2 ready for action. As you can see, you can get some more details on the actual device itself via the app. And you can also play around with the likes of watch faces, set up the notifications, the calendar alerts, all that kind of stuff. So there's plenty that you can do via the app itself, although the watch is quite independent too. It's your typical Wear OS setup, so as you can see here, you can scroll down to get to your notifications, lots of stuff there. Swipe down and you will get to the watch settings, and you can also quickly activate things like do not disturb, the plane mode, things like that. And if you swipe this away, you get fast access to the Google voice assistant, as you can see there, and it also gives you a little bit more info about your day, so any commuting information you might have set up. You can search for nearby coffee, it definitely knows me well. and it'll also tell you a little weather update and give you a random quote as well, a bit of Blake action. He whose face gives no light shall never become a star. I think what that basically means is don't be a miserable. If you swipe this way, you'll access some of your fitness features. So as you can see there, you can see exactly how many steps you've taken so far, how many calories you've burned, the distance you have covered, and also start an exercise session as well. Of course, in order to make full use of the fitness tracking, you will need to install Mobvoi's app in order to get to all the Tic exercise stuff, as you can see there, so we can get all that on the go. And you can also access all of your other apps simply by tapping the little side button. As you can see there, both the E2 and the S2 have a little side button, and that's the only actual physical button on both of these watches. So as you can see there, you've got your standard range of apps. You've got all the Google Shares alarms and timers and all the rest of it. You've also, of course, got Google's Fit app on there as well, and Fit Workout for measuring your training sessions. And on top of that, you've also got Mobvoi's own Tic exercise stuff as well. And you've got full access to the Play Store via the watch itself as well, because it's got that built-in Wi-Fi, so you don't actually need to rely on your phone and the Wear OS app in order to get new apps downloaded, which is nice when it eventually loads up. That's a fairly straightforward interface. As you can see, you can download new watch faces, you can check out the featured apps, some essentials for Wear OS, the Washington Post, debatable, the likes of Uber and all that kind of stuff. You've got plenty of shiz you can download, and of course plenty of third-party exercise apps like Runtastic as well. As for the watch faces, got to say, not a massive fan of the default one. It's a wee bit ugly, so let's just give that a tap and see if we can get it changed. That took a few taps, so that's like, oh god, it's disappeared again. There we go. But as you can see, you've got a couple of different ones that you can choose instead. You've got a very simple one, which is actually preferable. It's definitely worth pointing out, though, that this is all beta software on these Ticwatches right now. It hasn't been fully customized and approved for the Ticwatch S2 or E2 because they've literally only just launched. So any little stutters or stammers and things like that that you see in this unboxing will hopefully be fixed by the time the actual watches are released. So as you can see there, you've got your standard Wear OS watch faces that you can also check out instead. And of course you can download plenty of new ones via the Wear OS store. I'm just going to go for one of the Elements one, probably the Elements Analog. Let's check that one out. There we go, that's now been added. As you can see there, it just gives you fast access to the likes of your battery info, the date itself, and any upcoming events, which is always nice to have there on the main screen. Now, as I mentioned before, there's actually very little difference between the Ticwatch S2 and the E2 in terms of the actual specs and the features on there. So they're both running the same version of Wear OS, absolutely no difference there whatsoever. The default watch face is actually different for some bizarre reason, but apart from that, it's basically the same thing. Swipe in the different directions, you'll access the exact same features. You've got full notification support, of course, yada yada yada. The actual display itself is identical in both cases as well. You get a 1.39-inch AMOLED display with a 400 by 400 pixel resolution, so everything will be nice and crisp. Your apps will look absolutely gorgeous, and the colour reproduction seems pretty decent as well. And actually running the show, it's Qualcomm Snapdragon Wear 2100 chipset as well. I'm not sure how much memory is in both of these smartwatches, but I imagine again it's the same amount of memory stuffed inside both. So far, touchwood, you know, considering it's a beta version of that software, and it's only just been set up and everything, seems to be running sort of okay. The odd little stammer and stutter here and there, but again, fingers crossed, by the time the watches are actually fully launched and released here in the UK, all these little sort of bugs and stammers will be worked out. If you just try opening an app on both of them at the same time, so get a bit of Google Fit on the go, as you can see there, basically both running at pretty much the same time. The E2 is actually slightly ahead there. As for the actual sensors, again, Ticwatch S2 and the E2 are basically identical. They've both got a built-in heart rate monitor here on the back, so you can use that at any point to measure your pulse. All you've got to do is dive into the Tic Pulse app and boom. They've also obviously got the built-in gyrometer and all the rest, so it can measure your steps and your general actions, and a nice bit of built-in GPS there as well. And as for the battery, it's a 415 milliamp cell now, which is 30% bigger than last year's Ticwatch S and E, so hopefully that means you'll get over a single day of use between charges. We basically had to charge up the original Ticwatch E and S every single night, so fingers crossed we'll be able to get hopefully a couple of days of use out of these bad boys instead. But of course, stay tuned for my full in-depth Ticwatch S2 review. I probably won't bother reviewing both of them because they are essentially the same hardware and software, just slight difference in terms of the design. So there you have it. As you can see, Ticwatch E2 and S2, not much difference between them, but definitely improved on the originals. You've got better water resistance now. You've got the updated Snapdragon Wear 2100 chipset compared with the old MediaTek effort, and you've got a bigger battery now as well. So stay tuned for my in-depth Ticwatch S2 review, that'll be coming. But definitely let us know in the comments down below if you are tempted, and hopefully UK pricing will be coming soon as well. And don't forget to poke subscribe and ding notifications for more on the latest and greatest wearable tech. Cheers everyone, love you!